Hello there in Business Tonight. A change at the top for Singapore's state investment firm Temasek Holdings CEO Ching is retiring after 17 years in the position. Dilhan Pillay Sandrasegara, the current CEO of the group's investment arm, will succeed her. Temasek says the move is part of a leadership renewal process that's been years in the making. Deborah Wong reports.
It took Ms. Ching about 3 years to convince him to join Temasek, and when he finally said yes, Mr. Dilhan Pillay was given extensive responsibilities, such as being responsible for managing Temasek's investment activities. Now, it's part of a leadership renewal process to handle evolving challenges.
The pandemic doesn't derail our long-term plans. I'm actually very happy, very comforted that we have a team in Temasek led by Dilhan, who have spent the last couple of years thinking ahead what it means, what the future means. And in some sense, many of the trends that they have identified, we have seen them being accelerated by COVID rather than delayed by COVID. Digitalization, the knowledge economy, and the way the world is changing. They have put together a plan, and so I think it is a good juncture to let the younger leadership lead the charge over the next decade.
Mr. Pillay credited Ms. Ho for tripling Temasek's portfolio value to over $300 billion since she assumed the role of chief executive in 2004. Now, that's despite the global financial crisis and COVID-19. Mr. Pillay says his key priority is to execute plans for the next decade and beyond under Temasek's T2030 goals. Its core tenet, tackling climate change and reducing carbon footprint. So it's invested in companies with sustainable practices and tapping on the right talents to build resilience in this area.
The main part is to translate the plan into strategies and to execute well on them. Be prepared to pivot if we have to. Make sure that we have the right people in place. I believe we have a very good team right now. That team will be augmented in the next few years and beyond. So we have an internal carbon pricing because we want to be disciplined in the way we allocate capital to achieve that 1.5 degree world as much as we can. At the same time, we recognize that as a provider of private capital, we have a role to play in the context of the carbon abatement process and to try to help achieve a reduction of the carbon abatement cost curve.
He also noted that even as geopolitical issues get more complex, it's crucial that Temasek takes a long-term approach in its investment decisions, instead of being waylaid by short-term issues.
At Temasek, everything we do is to deliver long-term sustainable returns. So it's not just a strategy that we'll deploy year by year or on a very short-term basis. We have to figure out, if we think down the road 10 years, 15 years, and we think about the kind of portfolio you'd like to own at the end of that period, what would it look like and how would it be configured? And that's what we've been doing for over a decade. Our thinking is not fashioned by our investment in any one particular company or any opportunity set that we see in a segment of the market. It is an entire market.
Now, Mr. Pillay will take over as CEO in October. He'll also continue to be CEO of Temasek International.